Welcome to Pinsar Basketball Live. The Toronto Raptors, the tank rolls on. The losing streak is now up to 7, if I'm not mistaken. And the Toronto Raptors have a back-to-back in less than 24 hours against the New York Knicks. Will it get better? Will it get worse? We got a career high from Jacoby Walter, who scored the first 14 points for the Toronto Raptors tonight. He finishes the game with 27, fouls out on a clear foul on Dylan Brooks. Right at the end of the game, we're going to look at that play. Kelly Olynyk, Jae'Sean Tate, that clear foul on Kelly Olynyk that does not get called. And then it goes off of Jae'Sean Tate, and the Raptors don't have a timeout. They don't have a challenge. And the refs just say, you know what, Houston ball. How often have we seen the refs go to a replay when it's not conclusive? It happened right in front of the referees. Do you think I'm complaining? Are you complaining? Do you care? When you think about how to lose ethically, this is about as good as it gets, doesn't it? You want your young players to do well. You want to put them in positions to do well. You want to create an offense in which they can thrive. Or do you want Scottie Barnes to go out and try to take 45 shots and try to get 50 points and stat pad as players don't get better? This was not a good game for Scottie Barnes. From the offensive perspective and the offensive process perspective of it, the Houston Rockets are one of the best defenses in the league. They are designed specifically to shut down perimeter players. They do have a soft spot somewhere in the paint, and were Scottie Barnes maybe more forceful attacking downhill, I think he would have had some success in this game. Clearly, I don't think Scottie's really comfortable attacking right now. I don't know if it's his ankle. I don't know if it's mobility. I don't know if it's maybe Scottie's with the tank. But this was not a good game for Scottie Barnes offensively. Defensively, I think he did a lot of good stuff. I think he was very, very instrumental as a help defender, weak side defender, roamer, just generally speaking, going out to the perimeter, making multiple contests, switching back to Alperen Şengün, doing some good stuff there. He racks up 3 steals, 10 rebounds. This was another game without RJ Barrett. Don't let the description fool you. I created this description 2 hours before the game, and RJ Barrett was supposed to play. And you could probably sell yourself on if Scottie Barnes has a normal game, you blow them out. If he has a normal game, if he shoots normal percentages, you blow them out. Let's take a look at the game. It's not pretty. Burn the box score if you're Scottie Barnes. 2 for 15 tonight, 0 for 8 from 3. 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 turnovers, -8 with 6 points. You definitely don't want a 6 point, 10 rebound, 4 assist outing from Scottie Barnes. You know what that shows me in 39 freaking minutes? 39 minutes. I mean, this is a season high in terms of minutes that he's playing in the absence of Jakob Poeltl, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Bruce Brown. They're just playing him so many minutes, and I don't understand why you're playing him so many minutes. I mean, stick to the script, man. You need him, sure. Post-game interview, Darko says Scottie is not 100% yet from injury. I know he's not 100%. I can see him moving. But if he is not 100%, why are you playing him 39 minutes in a game that you are pretty much aiming to lose? Because there's no other answer for this. Now, what's beautiful about this game is that the Raptors did not play losing basketball. In fact, they played winning basketball. They swung the basketball, and it collapsed a little bit in the fourth quarter. But honestly, it was not a bad game from a process perspective, from a team perspective. There were a lot of good passes from Scottie. You can't make layups for guys, okay? You can't make threes for guys. But I think there were a lot of good moments. I think Jamal Shed was awesome. And, I couldn't help but notice that Davion Mitchell was active tonight. He was active. He was on the bench. He was in his jersey. But he did not play. Kind of pokes a hole in the theory that the Raptors have long-term plans for Davion Mitchell, doesn't it? Because if they do, why would he not play in a game where you're down so many bodies? Why is he collecting DMP CDs like, I don't know, maybe he's soon to be traded and they don't want him to get injured? Some stuff is going on with the Toronto Raptors right now, and Vin saying Scottie's ankle ain't right and his eye isn't 100%. He should be sitting. Key M saying Scottie's doing the Halliburton thing. I feel like it'll bite him down the road. See, to those people who think that this is all about all NBA for Scottie, you really don't understand Scottie Barnes. That's not really who he is as a basketball player. He's never been one to chase accolades or awards. You never saw him gun for shots. In fact, he's the exact opposite. If you recall last season, let me pull this off for a second. We'll talk more about the game, but I just want to address the Scottie Barnes thing because I'm pretty much staying off the internet tonight with the way the media vultures are going to be circling around this game. I wanted to save this till the later part of this, but let's just address this right now. Okay. The way that the announcers talk about Scottie's games when he shoots like this versus the way they talk about anybody else shooting this way is hilarious double standards. Okay. The conversation at some point for Jack Armstrong and Matt Devlin devolved into Scottie Barnes and Fred VanVleet both having cold shooting nights. The insinuation, if you go back and listen to what was said, was that despite his cold shooting nights, Fred is a hard worker, that he'll bounce around his season, and he does a lot of other stuff. So my question is, does Scottie Barnes not do a lot of other stuff? That's probably a good idea. Please put some Kobe Bryant rookie highlights and compare it to Jacoby Walter. I don't think they're very similar players, but Jacoby is awesome. And we've been talking about Jacoby's passing on this channel. I think we have led the motion that Jacoby is not a bad passer. And you saw it tonight. Jamal Shed was awesome tonight. There's a lot of good stuff. But at the end of the day, when you're the franchise player, you're playing a home game, people have shown up in number 4 jerseys. They're expecting you to do something more than what you did. And I understand the criticism, but I also want it to be fair. Okay. I don't think he's overrated, but you're free to believe that. Okay. He is their highest paid player, though, isn't he? Jay says, stop defending Scottie. You say he's an all-star. This is what you get as an all-star player. All the praise and all the hate. Sure. But context matters. When you're injured and you're hurt and you're recovering from an injury and you're not 100%, Mama said there will be games like this. And when you are not necessarily a very good three-point shooter and you're going out there and you're taking the bulk of your shots from three-point range and they don't go, you're going to have games like this. Steph Curry just had a 2-point game the other night. 2 points. That happens when you're a jump shooter. Okay. This is a troubling concern. Yes. Back-to-back games where he is not able to gain separation. He's pushed off 3 times that I've counted. Yes, that is definitely happening. The double standard, of course, when discussing Fred VanVleet and Scottie Barnes is that, well, one guy shoots 37%, but I like him. And the other guy shoots 55%, but I don't like him. So this is how I'm going to cover it. Fred VanVleet did not have a good game tonight. He's had a lot of really, really bad games. And the Houston Rockets fans are not as liberal or as kind to Fred VanVleet as Raptors media people are. Because the Raptors media are just like, oh my God, Fred VanVleet, champion. And it's just such cap. It's always been such bullshit about him. And I've never really understood what this guy did to these people to distort their perception of him so mightily. But it has been the case pretty much since he was a second-year player. And they have just loved him, adorned him, and they really don't care. But you know what the truth is? The optics of this matter. And when you are 6'8", 6'9", Scottie Barnes, and you are built like a brick shithouse, and you are sitting out there shooting threes, some people are going to have a really big problem with it, especially when they're not going in. That is not the standard that we hold RJ Barrett to. RJ Barrett can have a 2 for 14, 2 for 15 night. We don't really care that much. We'll say it's a bad game and we move on. But when Scottie Barnes has a game like this, it really does open up all the criticism and all the wounds of, you know, the second year slump. It opens up all the criticism of should have picked Jalen Suggs. It opened up all of that because the truth is that a lot of people who have started covering him positively have done so despite the fact that they don't want to, that his play has sort of forced them to. You can't just keep beating a dead horse. Not many people have the courage that I do, that even after Fred VanVleet goes out and scores 30 points, I'm still going to criticize him for missing everything and missing all those passes. No, most people reserve their true thoughts for when a player struggles. So I think tonight you're going to find out a lot of people really feel about Scottie Barnes. I think you are. This is a second straight game where his usage has been abysmal. Last game, he had the lowest the lowest rebound percentage of his season. He also had his lowest usage of the season. That was the last game. But he managed to put up 16 points. So nobody complained too hard. People complained, but they didn't complain too hard. Troy Knight saying max players have off shooting nights. Absolutely. Mel saying Scottie came out trying to show up Fred and played himself out of the game. No, I don't think he did that at all. I think he came out and I think he was very passive. I don't think he was assertive enough tonight. I think there were many times, it almost like when Fred VanVleet, the first shot that he made, which was the turnaround over Fred VanVleet, they looked for him, but it wasn't like he was demanding it. This just was not a game where Scottie Barnes came out and was like, I'm going to put my imprint on this game, come hell or high water. There are assertive threes and there are passive threes. He settled for threes tonight. And that's not good, right? Grim Reaper saying the entire night was a Fred glaze fest by the commentators and media. It's annoying. Fred ain't him. JLA Media saying, y'all can diss RJ, but RJ is never passive. RJ is never passive. I agree with that. RJ is never, ever passive. HC saying, fans are not looking at Scottie as a hero, but when the media says he's a franchise and they sign you to a Supermax, then you get judged accordingly. He was not signed to a Supermax. He was signed to a max, and he has not earned a dime of that max yet. He is playing hurt right now. And the last time I saw Scottie struggle this bad was in his second season. I don't think I've seen a game like this from Scottie this year. Maybe the Cleveland one in the opener. I think you could point to that game and say that was not a very good process game for Scottie. I think this game was like those second year games where he just didn't look to assert himself, but he made a lot of good plays in the flow of the game. There were some great passes. There was a touch pass where he gets the steal, throws it up ahead. You know, there were some good moments, and we'll take a look at some of them in the film breakdown. In terms of the Houston Rockets, they get 27 points in the hometown kid, Dylan Brooks. They get 22 points on 20 shots from Jalen Green. They get 2 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, and 2 steals, and a -5 from Fred VanVleet. And yet, all we heard all night was that Fred VanVleet was him. Amazing. Amen Thompson continues his incredible season. 10 points, 5 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds. He is an absolute bull inside. Cam Whitmore. I mean, I have mixed thoughts about Cam Whitmore, but he had 11 points tonight. Just a pogo stick. He had 2 offensive rebounds as well. Jayshawn Tate also had 2 offensive rebounds. The Raptors really could not keep anyone off the offensive rebound. The Rockets get 18 offensive rebounds in this game, which was a ridiculous amount. The Raptors start Jonathan Mobo in the first half. He did not start the second half, just didn't play well. Not a single offensive rebound for Jonathan Mobo. When's the last time you've seen that happen? -6 in a game in which his team basically led most of the way through. The Raptors were in this game for the majority of it. At one point, they were even favored to win this game, which was not what was supposed to happen in this game. You were supposed to get blown out in this game. Absolutely blown out. So please make sure that when you're talking about Scottie's 0 for 8 night, that you do commend the fact that he was on the court for 39 minutes, and most of it was positive. But fair where fair is due. Scottie ends the night -8. Jacoby ends the night -14. Gradey Dick +7. And Jamal Shed was awesome. 33 minutes for Jamal Shed +1. He won his minutes. 11 points, 10 assists, and you're starting to see the vision. You really are. 6 rebounds as well. Something that I have often been critical of with undersized guards is you got to get on the glass. You got to get on the glass. You got to contribute on that end. If you're going to be undersized, you got to be an active. A huge block on Jabari Smith. We're going to watch that too. I think that was awesome. Okay. Overall, team stats. Take a look here. The Raptors did get outscored by 3 points in the fourth quarter, but they won the first half. They won the first quarter. And again, the trend of, the Raptors winning more quarters than they lose. Wait a second. How did this happen here? The Raptors lost 3 quarters in this game, but they won the first one by so much that they were basically in this game the entire time. Okay, the Raptors do attempt 3 more shots. They shoot better from the field. They shoot better from 3. Do you realize that the Raptors, not named Scottie Barnes, shot over 50%? The Raptors shot 39.5% from 3, and that's with Scottie going 0 for 8. That's insane. That was a lot of Jamison Battle. That was a lot of Jacoby Walter, who finally got his 3 going. Scottie missed a couple at the line, so he was a really big part of the fact that they went 69% because they only got to the line 13 times. I think the Rockets played with a lot more force. The Raptors took a lot more jump shots. And this is just one of those games where, from a process perspective, this looks a lot more like this is how the Boston Celtics play. You know what I mean? And they have some cold shooting nights. And on a night where they're cold, they really do suck, right? The Raptors did win the turnover margin for the most part of the game. They were doing great job converting those turnovers when the Rockets did turn it over. But in the end, they did turn it over a lot in the fourth quarter. And that's what led to it. They fouled more. They always foul more. That's their MO. And they lost the paint battle largely because of those offensive rebounds. And frankly, because you don't have Jakob Poeltl in there, can't keep guys off the offensive rebound. And yeah, it was just a tough night, man. It was a tough night. But this is exactly what you want when you're talking about competitive losses, when you're talking about games where, they're still fun to watch. They're, maybe if you're a Scottie super fan, this wasn't very fun to watch. But if you're a fan of the Toronto Raptors, I don't understand how you couldn't have enjoyed watching the passion that Jacoby Walter played with, the force that Jamal Shed played with. Your kids played great. Your rookies played great. With the exception of Jonathan Mobo, the rookies played great. Okay, take a look at some of the plays from tonight's game. Film session at 16 minutes and 45 seconds. Okay. This play sucked. This was a play where Scottie Barnes, finds a perfectly open. Şengün does not get back in time. And here, Ochai is just going to smoke the layup. Unfortunate. Just unfortunate, really, that you do everything right on that play and you don't get 2 points for it. And the worst part about it was that the Rockets converted on the other end. And it's just like, that's a 4-point swing. And the Raptors do that shit to themselves all the time. 3-on-1 fast break. You don't convert. There was a play tonight, which we're not going to look at, where Jamal Shed tries to throw an alley-oop to Chris Boucher. Boom, turnover, right? It's just like those easy points. This was a great start of the night for Jacoby Walter. Gets to the line, finds his groove, and Jacoby scored the first 14 points. Nice, right? Jacoby Walter had an 11 points while the Rockets still had 7. Here's one of them. Dylan Brooks kind of backs off of him. The scouting report is that Jacoby can't shoot. That is not the reality of Jacoby, though. I just want to be clear about that. Jacoby can shoot. He just hasn't shot well yet. And here's another one. And here, I think that is number 10, just going to swing right past him. That's Jabari Smith. He's just going to swing past him, and it's not enough, right? That's way too much daylight for a guy who can shoot. And I'm telling you, watch Jacoby a lot. He can shoot, okay? And I think people are going to find that out pretty soon. Here's, if it's not enough yet, if 3 times the charm, 1, 2, and here's a third 3-pointer. Jacoby, Scottie really tanked the 3-point shooting tonight. Jacoby really elevated it, and I think that he was awesome. Here, I'm commenting on Scottie Barnes' defense. I think this was awesome. He had plenty of plays like this. Now, I want to know why he wasn't credited with a block on the box score. I don't think he was credited with a block on that, but nevertheless. And this is just crazy processing, right? Again, the small things you don't see, because here you go. Here's a steal from Scottie, where Amen Thompson crosses over Jamison Battle. Jamison Battle's going to send him over. Jamal Shed swipes it from behind. Watch that again. This is being active in the gaps. Watch Jamal Shed poke that away. I believe that is Jamal Shed. Am I mistaken, or is it Jamison Battle? It's like trying to figure out the Zeprudar film here. Hang on. Let me just slow this down and make sure that I get this right. I don't want to credit the wrong player for this. So hang on 1 second. Bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm inclined to say that was Jamal Shed poking that away. I could be wrong, but from this angle, it looked like just Jamal Shed. And look at how quickly Scottie is going to process this, throws it perfectly on target. And Kelly Olynyk cheating, leaking out behind the defense. And KO is just going to get this. And easiest layup of the night for him. Sorry to make it super slow. And of course, Kelly is just going to convert this. Easy peasy. Just boom. Right. So that's some of the small stuff that he does. And this was a block that was taken away by, for Scottie Barnes, where he sees his old buddy, Jalen Green, good friends, childhood friends. And he's just like, you know what? Get that garbage out of here. But apparently, because he touches, and I don't think I've ever seen Scottie do that. I think there just might have been like I don't want to go up and re-injure my ankle. Let me hold on to this net for some security. Injuries can mess people up, man. Like when you're not right, you don't play right, you know? Anyways, I decided to highlight a little bit of Scottie's defense because I could just see with his shooting percentages how narratives were going to spin around Scottie and how terrible he was tonight. But here's a good moment, right? Alperen Şengün was a turnover machine tonight, really did not handle well. But because Scottie is there, it sort of forces him baseline, and he's basically in a box because Scottie is shutting down the nail extended, and you've got the sideline there, and Kelly Olynyk is just being proper, right? But if you leave Alperen Şengün versus Kelly Olynyk, there's a reason why they strong doubled on that. That is not easy. That is not an easy matchup for him. Now, this was crazy, okay? This is Jamal Shed, all 6 feet of him, blocking a jump shooter with a pretty goddamn high release. I don't know how he blocks this, but he does. That's insane. That's clean. He didn't foul him. That's a clean block. Now, I have talked about how great Jamal Shed is getting out to corners and how athletic he is, but I never in my life thought that he was going to block Jabari Smith when he came out and closed out on him. That was so impressive. Just physically, it was so impressive. Here, Scottie is finally going to get something to go, and this is Fred VanVleet being a great defender. Isn't Fred VanVleet a great defender, y'all? You know, just remember, Freddie VanVleet, all-star, great defender, right? I'm not even denying Fred's a good defender. I'm so sick of listening to 2 hours of Fred Glaze, man. I can't stand it. Okay, Jacoby Walter. They say he couldn't pass because that was the narrative around Jacoby at Baylor. If you remember, all the draft analysts soured on him because they said he basically likes to score and he doesn't really seed passes. Well, here, he's going to see this beautiful pass. He's not going to project it at all. Dylan Brooks is a good defender. Reed Shepherd's a pretty good defender. Amen Thompson's right there. Fred VanVleet is trying to win an Oscar right now, right? I'm sorry. I just missed that. Hang on. Did he elbow him in the face, or is that just the most major flop? Oh, never mind. He actually does elbow Fred in the face. That's awesome. I think I like Jacoby even more now. Fred just sells it. The referee's not paying attention, does not care, and just a nice pass. Nothing stupid, nothing, too extreme, but a beautiful pass. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention so far into this live, Chris Boucher had a pretty competent game. Okay. Now this one, Jacoby was hot from 3. I didn't think he was going to make this one. Unfortunately, it's after the buzzer. It does not count. But man, I don't think I've seen a Raptor make that shot this year. So that was really cool to see. It was like a little bit of a Mo Peterson moment. This is with the game on the line. Raptors up 5 here. And Jamal Shed is just going to see this miscommunication. Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith. Like, again, these are good defenders. Those are 3 good defenders. And somehow they send 2 to the ball. And Jamal Shed just makes the pass that Fred VanVleet always refused to make. Boom. And I said tank mode activated before I realized that this actually wasn't a tanking move. So I apologize, Kelly Olynyk. But this play is absolutely insane. Okay? Just watch this play unfold. Gradey Dick catches it. Balance. Trying to not fall out of bounds. He sends it to Kelly Olynyk. There's a foul right in front of the referee. Jae'Sean Tate fouls Kelly Olynyk and then knocks it off his own leg We'll see it from another angle too, but just take a look at this one. Yeah, we'll see the other angle, but that's clearly off of Jason Tate. Take a look again. We'll slow it down. Okay. Slow, 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 slow. Yeah, that's off of Jason Tate. Look at where the referee's eyes are. The ref can see this. You would have to be blind not to see this. You would have to be crazy not to see this. You're looking right at it. It's 4 feet away from your face. 5 feet, 6 feet. Am I being generous? That's 5 feet. If you cannot see this in real time, you're insane. Because the minute we saw this angle without any replay, without anything, I was just like, that's off of Jason Tate's leg. And look at this. Why are you looking down? You still trying to confirm? It's like he just decides in that moment, no, this is Rockets. And Kelly Olynyk is in disbelief. His face says it all there because he can't believe it. That's crazy. Absolutely insane. All right. And are there any callers? I am perfectly fine without any callers today. But if there are any callers, feel free to use the link, call in. We can definitely talk about it. Johnny A saying, we have no bigs. No, I think you do. You have some. Johnny A saying, why is Kelly O in the game at that stage? He's a good decision maker, and he was having a better game than Jonathan Mobo. And you need a 3. You needed a 3 in that moment. You're down 3. You want to tie it. You want to send it to overtime. Are you worried about Scottie at all? 0. Why was RJ and Pirtle and Davion out? Is there a trade coming soon? Well, I can tell you that the Sacramento Kings had a hell of a game tonight in which they got blown out at home by the Indiana Pacers. That is tough. Very tough. So if there is a De'Aaron Fox for RJ Barrett centric trade coming, it would make some sense. But I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's pretty obvious that RJ Barrett was sick. We saw him in a not a post game scrum, in a post practice scrum, and he was sniffling. I think he sniffled like 7 or 8 times during that 5-minute interview. He just kept, and it was like, okay, he might be sick. Scottie was also sniffling. So, yeah. If you want to tank, we have to play Davion. He's our tank commander. See, I don't think you have to play Davion when you're not playing all these other players. I think it's when you get healthy that you have to play Davion about 35 minutes to tank. Jay saying, Rob, do you think Scottie could be a number 1 on a championship team? There's only 5 or 6 in the NBA at any time. Do you think he can get there? I don't think there are 5 or 6 at any time. I think there might be as many as, anywhere from 4 to 10. And I think, yeah, of course I do. I think he can be the best player on a championship team. HC saying, please call a spade a spade. Scottie is not showing number 1 on a contender potential right now. That's assuming that that's what he's trying to exhibit, which he's not. He's trying to work out his game right now. He's trying to stay healthy, I'm assuming, right? This was not an assertive game, but we have seen plenty of superstar level performances from him this year. Would you not agree? Like, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I don't know why this fan base specifically has this knee-jerk reaction every single time a star has a cold shooting night. I don't sell on RJ Barrett when he shoots 5 for 20. I don't gas him up when he shoots 16 for 20. I don't care. The percentages are the percentages. They balance out. No sane person is sitting here every single day that Scottie scores 30. Oh my God, he's a franchise player. And then when he scores 12, oh, he's a bum. That's not how basketball works. If you've ever played basketball, sometimes you have good games, sometimes you have bad games, sometimes you have struggle games. All right. He shot like 10 threes. He's chilling, trust. That's exactly it, man. He's doing a lot of good things out there. Would never sit here and tell you this was a good Scottie game. He's probably going to be like -5, -4, -5, 6 blocks plus minus, whatever in this game. This fan base flip-flops because of DeMar. It's PTSD. I don't think Scottie has anything to anything in common with DeMar. I think he has a lot more in common with someone like Kyle Lowry. I think he has a lot in common with actually Kyle Lowry. And Kyle Lowry had plenty of games like this. HC saying, so let's go off of season averages then. Why is 46% from the field and 31% on a franchise player? His percentages, the percentages you're referencing, are better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in fourth year. Maybe that's why. Because franchise players are not made on makes and misses. Otherwise, Jamison Battle and Ochai Agbaji are your franchise players. Okay? Like, Mr. Canada is saying, superstars never go zero for blank. That's not true. That's not true. Superstars do tend to shoot themselves in and out of games. I understand that. But there are certain players that will have a 2 for 14, 2 for 15 night, and they don't pursue their offense beyond that. I'm a fan of the ethical tank and how long the season is going. What does everyone think of IQ's fit on this team? I'm sure you'll get some responses in the chat. I like IQ a lot. Olamina Brian saying, no, not in play style, like in the way where they think he could be a superstar number one, but never was. But Scottie can be still. Look, I'm not worried about Scottie at all. If I had to gauge my worry meter, it's at 0%. I have zero concerns, zero worries, zero anything. If I could say something to Scottie Barnes, it would be this. Not everyone is going to appreciate what you do on the basketball court because people have their eyes pretty much trained to makes and misses. If he makes 4 threes tonight, he had a great game. He had a great game. He had a fine game, right? I didn't like his process tonight. I just didn't. I thought he settled for a lot of jumpers. I didn't feel he was forceful enough demanding the basketball. I don't think he collapsed the paint enough. I think he played like a role player tonight. He played like a total role player tonight. He played like a player who is just trying to go through the motions offensively in terms of as a scorer. I don't think any of his buckets were assertive necessarily. There was a kind of fling hook shot type. There was a turnaround in the paint that didn't go for him. There were just a whole bunch of threes that just did not look right for him. You know, he doesn't look as comfortable shooting it. There's a little bit more hesitation, but I'm happy with the fact that he's shooting them. You know, I mean, we're not that far removed from Scottie going 0 for 2 and then not looking at the 3-point shot for literally like 3 months or 2 months, you know? You're going to look at the percentages after tonight, and 0 for 8 does no favors to a 3-point shooter's percentages when the 3-point shooter is already shooting poorly. He's probably going to end up in the 20s at some point. And Scottie, man, he's a better defender. He's a better shooter. Of course, I prefer Scottie Barnes. Davion also has to be traded to make room for Shed once IQ comes back. Well, I think certain podcasters will have a chance to test their hypothesis on how the Raptors actually feel about Davion Mitchell, because there was absolutely no reason at all for him to get a DNP-CD tonight if you were actually healthy. I think what Jamal Shed did in that fourth quarter after Davion struggled for the vast majority of the game against the Bulls, I believe, where Shed basically brought them back, hit the bank shot, got them to within 1. Look, man, if you're looking at wins and losses, I'll actually share with you what is my main point of tonight, which is the Raptors are doing something kind of legendary. Let me show you what I mean. This is what I mean. This is actually brilliant. And this took a little bit of time to research, so make sure to give this video a like, because I literally went one by one and looked at every single team's expected win total based on the season so far. Now, contrary to popular belief, wins and losses in the NBA are a result of who had more points at the end of the game. However, there are certain games which are counted as more of a win and less of a win, and win shares expects, or win shares is a way to calculate expected wins. So when a team plays extremely well, but there's like a last second meltdown in which they give up 10 points in 2 minutes or 10 points in 1 minute, chances are they'll collect a half a win share for that game or something similar to that. And win shares are then divvied up with the players, and it's an estimate on how much each player contributed to the wins. The Raptors win share leaders this year, not surprisingly, are Jakob Poeltl and Ochai Agbaji, shortly followed up by, I think, Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett. Who else? Who else has been high on the win shares? Probably Chris Boucher, something like that. So when I look at this team, this is something that really sticks out. The Raptors and Kings specifically are the two teams that are leading the league in win-loss differential. If you're thinking about it the other way, they're actually the worst in the league. But because we're tanking, they're the best in the league. So I basically flipped this entire chart around. And unsurprisingly, right at the bottom is the Lakers, who are the best in the league. So the Lakers may have 16 wins right now, last I checked, but they're playing like a 12-win team. And the Raptors may have 7 wins right now, but they're playing like a 10 or 11-win team. And after tonight, I'm pretty sure that they collected a healthy share of win shares for tonight's game as well. This is how you actually measure. But see, when you go to the tank, when you go to the lottery odds are calculated based on the amount of games you actually won, not the games you should have won. But if you're looking at expected win totals, you really have to, that's how you really gauge, in my opinion, whether or not you're a good team or a bad team. Okay. Whether or not you're closing out in clutch situations, whether or not your team is actually talented and what that talent looks like, and whether you're doing the right thing. Sometimes you do everything right in a game and you just lose it. You lose it because of hot shooting or a tip or a missed, call by a referee. And it's very 50-50, and anyone could have won that game. There are certain games where you handily lose. You get outshot, you get out rebounded. Everything goes wrong in that game. You can't buy a bucket. And those games you justifiably lose. I don't think this is one of those games for the Toronto Raptors. I think the Raptors won this game and then lost it. I think they won it the entire way and then lost it. In the fourth quarter, they just kind of pissed it away. I could have told you conclusively with 100% confidence that they were going to lose this game when they were up 16. I could have bet it in writing. I would have put every penny that I have that the Raptors were going to lose this game. Why? Because there's a path to winning and losing every single game. Now, obviously, if the Rockets just come out and they're very lackadaisical and they just refuse to play, and Ime Udoka decides to penalize his starters and then play his G League, play his scrubs. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Cam Whitmore and Reed Shepherd beat you in this game. It's just the Raptors are really good at this. They really should be an 11 or 12 win team. I'm not kidding. With Emmanuel Quickly, they might be a 15 win team, 15, 16 win team. The fact that they have 7 wins right now is a miracle. How they're doing this is incredible. Every night it's a new thing. Okay, tonight it's a cold shooting stretch from Scottie. Some nights it's going to be a buzzer beater, missed by RJ, or a missed free throw by RJ, or a cold shooting night by RJ. Some nights it's going to be Gradey Dick went 7 for 22. Some nights it's going to be your bench didn't show up. Some nights it's going to be Jakob Poeltl can't make a free throw. Some nights it's Scottie Barnes gets elbowed by Nikola Jokic in the face. Some nights it's something else, something else, something else. But in the end, nobody cares how you lost the game, because there's 2 things that matter. Number one, what matters to me is the process. Tonight, you have good process as a team. Scottie Barnes is a terrible game, but you're in this game. You want to look at the glass half full situation? You have one star player, one real NBA rotation player, like definitively, he'd be a rotation player on any team. All the other definitive role players or the definitive starters or whatever that you have on this team, they were not playing. IQ out, Bruce Brown out. So really it was Scottie. Kelly is a fringe rotation player right now. Boucher probably isn't in most, top 9 rotations. Jacoby, Gradey are probably out of a lot of rotations. Maybe Gradey is like the 9th guy on a lot of teams, right? Jamal Shed ain't playing for any contender, right? These guys, Jameson Battle is not getting minutes on a contender right now. Ochai Agbaji is probably the 10th guy. You didn't really have anything. And you faced a team that is number 2 in the West, and you held up for 40 minutes, 42 minutes of the game. You were favored to win this game at stretches of this game. There is something very positive about losing all these games that you're losing, because apart from this loss up here against, where the hell is it? This one, the one that started this whole losing streak. This was the worst loss of the bunch, right here. I hated this game with every fiber of my being. I didn't care that Scottie had 12 rebounds, 8. Wait, hold on. That wasn't it. Was it it? Did RJ actually play in that game that I attended? Yeah, he did. Never mind. Yeah, it was Jakob who didn't play. Okay, that game was a blowout. It was disgusting. But here, within 7 against Dallas. Let me see. Did you have a lead in this game? Just do a little bit of a cross-examination of this team. No, you didn't really have a game. You didn't really have a lead much, but you closed the gap in the fourth quarter. You played competitively in the fourth quarter. You actually outscored them in the fourth quarter and the third quarter, so you beat them in the second half. So yeah, you lose the game in the first half, and then you climb back in the second half, right? You're down by 15, 16 points, and then you close the gap to 7. Okay, little moral victory, maybe. I don't know. But that's one way to lose a game. How else have the Raptors lost games this year? Well, they've lost a lot of games during this losing streak. It hasn't just been blowing it early. Sometimes you blow it late. This game against New York, where the Raptors were leading for the vast majority. Oh, no, let's not cap here. Win probability. Look at that. That's a really even game. This will probably count for a third of a win share, but you don't get a single win on your record for this. Nobody cares that you were in this game, that in the third quarter, in the second half, against a much better team, that you had a 66% chance of winning this game. Nobody cares, okay? Nobody cares that in the fourth quarter, you were 70% favored to win this game, and you were up 3 with 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Nobody cares, okay? I care. Nobody else cares, okay? 10-point loss to the Miami Heat. This was bad. This was bad. Not gonna lie. This was bad, right? You trailed heavy. You were getting blown up by 18 in the fourth quarter. This was not good. So from the process perspective, that was not great. This was fantastic. You got to see what a young point guard does late. He pretty much single-handedly carried you back with a 32 box plus minus in the fourth quarter. That was the Jamal Shed game, right? Then you had the Brooklyn game, where once again, you were winning this game. Look at how much you were winning this game. There's that red line is the Raptors. That's how much they were winning this game by. In this fourth quarter, you were 85% likely to win this game. Now let's look at what happened tonight, because I'll guarantee you at various stretches in this game, the Raptors were actually favored to win. Look at that. In the second quarter, you were favored to win 67%. In the third quarter, you were favored to win by 66%. That is basically telling you that Vegas was swinging your way as well. But that's also the analytics model is swinging your way. That based on what was happening on the court, 83-79, the Toronto Raptors with 32 seconds to go in the third quarter on a Fred VanVleet miss, yet another Fred VanVleet miss, that you were projected to win this game in the second half against a team that is a lot better than you, a lot further along than you, a lot bigger than you, a lot more talented than you, a lot healthier than you. If you're complaining tonight, you don't understand the process at all. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't get it. This is the most ethical tank in the history of basketball. I think we're watching history here. I really do. Money saying Scottie shot 37% from 3 on 7 attempts his last 6 games, not including this game. That's amazing. Key M saying Scottie was averaging 21 before the injury and it was trending up. I'm not ignoring that. Yeah, Scottie was on fire. And the last 2 games have not been good. I think he had a 1 box plus minus last game. This game, he'll probably have a -5, -6, if I had to estimate. Something like that. You can't miss this many shots and be positive. So that's going to be tough. Okay, we got a caller, Baxter. Baxter, what's up?
What's going on?
Not too much. What's going on?
No much. Kind of disappointed in the loss. It looked iffy, you know. That was not natural.
What were you disappointed about specifically? Also, just give me 1 sec here. J Pow 67 with a super chat here. Raptors missing 3 starters and still competed their asses off versus the top Western Conference team. I'm happy the rookies balled out. Couldn't ask for more. Awesome, man. I appreciate your super chat and I appreciate your sentiment. Now, Baxter, why were you upset?
Just like we kind of dominated Fred didn't do much, which is like
That's
you're
usual.
kind of glad you kind of glad to see something like that from a former player. But like we should have won flat out.
Did you want to win?
I mean, our rookie wanted to win, so why not the whole team and like our fan base? But
Mm.
it's kind of upsetting.
Well, I think people have a difficult time with longer timelines, right? Like there's this quote that Scottie's trainer shared on social today, which I thought was really telling. And I'm actually going to play it because I think some people need to hear it right now. And it's not about, I think it's just an inspirational note, but I'm gonna share it. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on one second.
Tell you is the long way is the shortcut because the shortcut never gets you there. And so people quit when things get hard because the thought of things being hard forever feels unbearable. But that's a lie because nothing's hard forever. You either quit, it gets easier, or you get harder. But no matter what, the hard always ends. And the only way you lose is if you quit before seeing it through. And so what I try to tell myself when I'm in those like kind of harder times is this is for now, not forever.
So that's what I would say as well. That this is for now, it's not forever. Everyone who thinks this is a projection of, and it's natural. It's human nature to fear about the future. What if when we're a 50 win team trying to go for the championship or something like that, Scottie Barnes is going to have an 0 for 8 night, etc. I would say trust who he has shown you to be when games have counted. Right? He's not stupid. He can pretty much see the writing on the wall. The Raptors are not competing for the playoffs. They're not. The roster around him is not serious. Players are injured. There's a certain type of player that's like, this is a night to go out and get my numbers. Scottie's never been that type of player ever, right? So this probably felt like to him a night to get his teammates going. And I think one of his teammates, two of his teammates, three of his teammates had great nights. Four of his teammates had great nights. And he was a big part of that, I think. But yeah, like in terms of winning and losing this game, I wouldn't have minded losing this game, but I was perfectly happy losing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Baxter, thanks a lot for calling, man. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just have one more question. I
Sure.
noticed your post about the Raptors core, and I didn't see my boy RJ on it. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how he factors in if he doesn't get much better defensively.
Do you see him as like a trade piece or just here for a couple of seasons and gonna leave?
If the Raptors get a significant defensive prospect in this draft, like a Cooper Flag, I could see that somehow working out for RJ. But I think what we see tonight from Jacoby Walter, what we've seen from Gradey Dick this year, what we've seen from Emmanuel Quickly, I think that sort of slots up those three spots. And I don't think RJ is coming off the bench for anybody. So while I would, somebody said, and I think Karen Hall, one of our longtime community members, said it would really break her heart to see RJ go because, he's a hometown kid. He's finally home. He's playing well. But there are certain limitations to how much you can do defensively with a player who's such a liability defensively. But if he gets better defensively, I got no problem. But at that point, you'll probably have to make a tougher roster decision elsewhere because, again, I think what Jacoby's showing right now, I think there's a very, very good chance that Jacoby's a better player in 3 years.
That's
So,
right.
yeah. All right, man. Thanks a lot for calling. Appreciate you.
Yep.
FA, what's up?
Hey Rob, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing good. Enjoyed the game. I, I'm big in tanking this season, so I really don't care about the results. I just want to see the young players develop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of people are sort of mentally trained to hate losing. I think it's partially because the Raptors have done so much losing in their history and they've more recently done winning. But there is this feeling of, at least I'm curious, do you think, as a longtime Raptors fan, that there is some feeling of, oh no, we're about to go back to the Andrea Bargnani era?
I don't think so. I think we're losing, but we're winning. Meaning, you can see some of the younger players developing, right? So it's not like they're playing to lose. They're losing maybe because of the inexperience and also the way that I think Darko is ethically tanking, to be honest with you, the lineups towards the end and things like that. Because if you want to really win, right, you're not going to be playing the young players a lot of minutes. You're just going to go with your best players, but it's giving everybody a chance to show their game, to develop their game. But we're not losing like the Wizards, where okay, they're building bad habits, right? The team is also building good habits as they're losing. You can see Grady developing his game, Jacoby really taking the next step as a rookie. And yeah, well, I think a lot of fans, like Raptors fans, to be honest with you, they're kind of bipolar sometimes. they, they, Scottie has a bad game, everybody's crying. Scottie has a good game, everybody's screaming. So you got to look at the process, right? Well,
Do you
if
remember
I'm
the
the
last
coach,
time he had a great game and somebody pointed out that every time he has a great game, they lose? You remember that?
I've seen that several times where they say that's because score over 30 points that we lose. But
So
yeah,
unless he scores 35 and the Raptors win, no matter who else is playing, they'll excuse anything. When RJ plays without Scottie, it's he didn't have Scottie, so that's why he lost. That's why he's not in the right place. But when Scottie struggles, it's like it doesn't matter that Yakov's not playing. It doesn't matter that RJ's not playing. It doesn't matter that IQ's not playing. We've seen so many comments suggesting that RJ is a better player than Scottie, and I think that's so crazy because Scottie makes RJ so much better. It makes
and
everybody so
I
much
and
better.
and RJ said that himself too, right? So I don't know why there's an argument about that. But however, if I was a coach, I wouldn't have played Scotty. I think he came back too early from the injury. Like he has a hip injury the last game, then now the ankle. You can tell the way it was moving today, right? That he was trying but okay defensive, even defensively too, it was struggling with the movement and things like that. And I'm gonna bet that he's not playing tomorrow's game, but RJ might play in New York. So well, I want him to heal well before he comes back from all his injury. I know he's a quick healer. He's a quick healer, but you don't want all these injuries to start lingering over time. It's not good for his career. But at the same time, too,
Yeah.
I like Scotty to. I want Scotty to play through his mistake because this year you're literally developing every player. So let's see what comes out of that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
think
happy with
fans are very like
Jacoby.
star focused,
Mm.
right? Like they have this sort of obsession with like how did Vince play, how did DeMar play? But it's like while DeMar was not playing well, Kyle was playing well. I think somebody made a comment today, and I can't remember who it was. So I'm sorry for stealing your take, but there was somebody who said before DeMar got traded, 90% of Raptor fans preferred DeMar DeRozan to Kyle Lowry. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I would estimate it would be close to 80%. And it
I
wasn't.
agree.
And if you tried to tell someone that, hey, look at the numbers, Kyle's a better player, they would never believe you. They'd be like, but 25 points per game, 28 points per game. I never heard Kyle Lowry MVP chance ever, but he was much closer to an MVP than DeMar ever was. I heard a lot of DeMar MVP chants. So
I
again,
think people look at points right instead of the impact on the game,
they always
which
do.
is
This has always been
like
the case.
even you look at I was looking at the comments earlier on the chat, right? Some folks were like already talking down on Cooper Flag. Well, Cooper Flag impacts the game in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Even though I still have my preference on somebody else to play with Scotty, but again, you got to look at the impact on the game for such young players.
Well, that's
And
it, right?
even if you look at Nikola Jokic, right, what he's doing in Denver, he's not a score first player, right? But he scores a lot because they don't really have other folks that can score with him except Jamal Murray and a few others. So it depends on the team, and I think Scotty would need a team like that where you have like scorers around him. But that said, I know Scotty wants to call himself a point guard. I don't think he's a true point guard. The handles are not that tight yet. He would do better with a real point guard and where they will alternate playing the point.
I don't I don't know if it's like there is a thing as a point guard. I think his handle is much, much improved this year. So I think he's perfectly fine in that role. I think the point guard position is just the greatest position to develop at in the NBA, whether you're talking Jeremy Sohan developing at point guard last year for the Spurs, or whether you're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo developing at point for the Milwaukee Bucks, Scottie is certainly much more of a point guard than Giannis ever was. So that's kind of how I see it. Is like, okay, I think you have maybe a long-term point forward
I see that, yeah.
who can handle point in a pinch. And if you get a significant, point guard, like a pure point guard, but he's a better passer than De'Aaron Fox by leaps and bounds. He is a better passer than Emmanuel Quickly by leaps and bounds. So he's the best passer on this team, bar none. So it's difficult to then say, okay, take away your most gifted, your most advantageous skill and put you off the ball so that somebody else has to create your looks. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, at least.
The where I want Scottie as a point guard is when he rebounds the ball and go with force, but not just like playing full point guard throughout the whole game, because Scottie still cannot break his man off the dribble, right? So
Right.
and you need that for like your point guard to like penetrate the paint, then kick out and things like that. I think the only person that can do it in the right, Jamal Shields can do that to a certain extent. Then I'm liking a lot for what I'm seeing from Jacoby. He can really find a spot on the court where he can create his own shot.
Right. No, I agree. I think he's perfectly capable of it and very good at it. So yeah, for sure. I'm actually shocked the Denver Nuggets are winning in overtime against the New Orleans Pelicans. That's crazy. What a comeback.
Jeez. Bad teams know how to lose, right?
Yo, this tank is unstoppable with this team.
It's just crazy, right? Some of you can out-tank some of these teams. New Orleans, Wizards, which other team again there? I think I guess Raptors can count as one of the teams too. But for Raptors, right, they're not really trying to tank, but they're just not closing games well. But some of these teams, right, they're literally trying to tank.
Oh my god, like this is crazy. Like if they were up by 20 or 15, 18.
I think there was this foul in the fourth quarter that resulted in the 6-point play.
6-point play?
Yeah, somebody shot a 3-pointer and
Even Missy.
not
Sorry,
even Missy.
well, even Missy just missed a whole bunch of free throws to end the
It
game.
missed three free throws to end the game.
All
Speaking of
three of them?
yeah.
Oh my god.
Speaking of him, Missy is a really, really good player. He's untouchable with that team right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Jokic fouls Eve Missy 4-3. Oh my
And he
god.
missed
Nikola
all three.
Jokic is gonna get slandered to no end for this game.
Yeah,
Wow.
but they won. They're gonna leave him.
27 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. I mean, when Scottie gets to a point where he can just score, 25 points in his sleep, people will buzz off. But people don't realize there are games where Jokic is like super, super assertive, and then there are games where he's just like super passive.
Well, he has really talented players around him, right? Obviously, I don't have a bench, but compared to Scottie, so
Does Scottie have a single player on his team as talented as Michael Porter Jr. right now? No. He doesn't. That's just fact. But like, look at Jokic. Like some of his games are crazy. 48 points, 16 points, 56 points, 27 points. He scores like a lot of points. And then he has certain nights, they're 23. But on his 23-point night, he has 16 assists and 20 rebounds. I think that's where Scottie needs to get to. Like where even his bad nights have to look better than this.
I know. I think Scottie needs to play with more force too. He has the strength to play with force, but sometimes it settles too much. I know coach wants him to shoot like 10 trees, but I don't think that's his game yet. And when you have like better shooters around him, I think I want him to play like Giannis to a certain extent. Giannis light, because he does that sometimes towards the end of the game, fourth quarter, when he's like, okay, I'm going to try and get my own shot or score. Like today when Van Vliet was on him, but most of the time he settles for three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I am perfectly happy with how this season is unfolding. Actually, it's unfolding better than I could have ever imagined.
Me
I've
too.
seen,
Me too.
I've seen the perfect, handle and playmaking, growth from Scottie that I needed to see. I'm seeing him comfortable with missing a lot of threes and still taking them. I love that. I'm seeing playmaking growth from RJ, which I really love. I'm seeing great development from Jacoby, Gradey, Ochai. Ochai shooting crazy percentages, even though he missed a couple easy ones today. I'm seeing, just enough of Davion Mitchell that maybe you can rehab some asset value of him at the trade deadline. I don't
Yeah,
know. It's hard to imagine.
I'll trade the Vion and let Jamal Shared cook. You can see the improvement of Jamal Shared after I went to the G League. He came
Mhm.
back like more purposeful and like he had like 10 assists today and everything. So you can just see the difference. And Grady, Grady, I think the game is still too fast for him. Needs to slow it down a little.
He does
Like
have
when you
moments, yeah, for sure.
yeah, like when he drives to the paint, right? He doesn't drive purposeful. It just like goes in and throws the ball and hoping it gets in the rim. But I
Mhm.
don't know, Jacoby, the game is already slow for him. He just needs to get stronger.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like death for IQ between RJ, IQ, and Scotty, it's a coin toss. I mean, you can't make this shit up, man. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Do you understand the leaps and bounds and gaps between these three players? Do you get it? Do you understand it? No, you don't. Right? And it's just like here's the thing. My question to you is if you hold beliefs privately, right? Why do you feel the need to convert others who clearly are not on your side? Like, I'm not going to be convinced by this. Who are you trying to convince? Are you trying to convince yourself? Are you trying to piss me off? Like what are we doing here? If you think Emmanuel Quickly and Scottie Barnes are comparable assets, why are you talking to me? Talk to a shrink.
It's not right. Look at it. Scotty does everything that's like even Emmanuel Quick can defend. So that's the
Yeah,
reason why Raptors have to make a decision amongst
yeah,
those other two, RJ and IQ down the
yeah.
line.
Hmm.
I know fans. I'm not a big fan of IQ because they're true point guard. He'll need a real point guard. He's more of a shooting guy. But I like to see how he plays with Scotty first before they can make a decision going
Yeah.
forward.
Okay. So Death 4K, you have this fucking opinion that because you think something that you're right. Where's your basketball resume? What's your basketball take resume? Let me show you mine. I'll show you mine. You show me yours. I said the Raptors should move off of Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. Was I right or wrong? I said they shouldn't trade for Jakob Poeltl. Was I right or wrong? Okay. Look at the fucking draft analysis. Have I been 100%? No. But I told you all Scottie was better than Jalen Suggs. Has he been? 100%. Every step of the way, he's been better. At no point in their careers to date has Scottie been a worse player than Jalen Suggs at all. I am early. I was early on the fucking Jamal Shed is better than Davion Mitchell thing. Is he better now? Yes. Was I getting cooked for it a month ago? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I was. Masai Ujiri. You don't know more than Masai Ujiri, bro. The hubris
and,
and the
and,
stupidity with
and,
which you
and
approach
and that's
these
what
fucking
drives
basketball
me.
takes.
That's what drives me crazy when fans start talking about Masai. Look at what he pulled off with this last draft, right? Out of nothing. Look at all the players we got. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Even
AP saying Rob
Jamison Tattoo.
not liking your tone right now, coming across very rude and arrogant. I'm gonna tell you something. I am rude and arrogant. I own it. I don't like stupid basketball takes. It bothers me endlessly. Dumbass basketball takes like this. He had a tough night. Fuck you, man. Like people like this are like, you know what? It's like every day is a new day. Y'all dumb as fuck. You wake up every fucking day and learn the laws of the land every fucking day. Every day you wake up and decide, is this a good person or a bad person? Your partner has a tough day, and then it's like, okay, fuck the partner. No, fuck 16 years of marriage. We had a bad moment. Yo, man, have some fucking faith. Yo, this fan base is fucking bipolar as hell. And honestly, the other day, someone was saying like after Scottie had that tough game, and he is absolutely injured. If you can't see that he's injured, you're fucking dumb as shit. But if you're going to judge him today, where were you 2 months ago, a month ago when he was balling? Where the hell were you? So every single time someone has a rough game, it's an opportunity to slander that person. Have you ever seen me? And be honest, some of y'all watch my basketball content like extensively. Y'all see me slandering RJ after every bad game? I'm not. I'm consistent as hell with what I have an issue with, which is his defense, which has been an issue for 6 years now. I'm not counting makes and misses. So if something about today's game fundamentally changed how you see Scottie Barnes going forward, that's cool, man. That's your prerogative. But this is the point. This is my frustration. Y'all fucking bottle up your fucking hatred for this player for whatever reason. I don't know why you hate him. Maybe you hate basketball. Maybe you're just really dumb. But does he threaten your perspective on basketball? Maybe that maybe your YMCA dumbass brain hasn't actually learned proper basketball. And so when you see a player playing proper basketball, you're just like, I wonder what this fan base would have done to Jason Kidd. I really do. Because Jason Kidd had plenty of 7, 8, 9, 10, 12-point games. I wonder what they would have done. Jeez, have some faith. I've seen you slander Siakam and VanVleet every bad game. Sure. Did you see me slander them on good games too? Because I did that too.
And even with Van Vliet playing really badly this season, right? Have you heard listen to him Doka's interview? He talks about how his maturity, how he helps the team and things like that, right? So sometimes people look at how they're playing, but leadership also is very, very important, especially with young teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad. I don't want to. I want to get the top 3 pick. Worst case, 4th pick. I think I prefer the top 3 pick because, and I know I like his Cooper flag, but I I think him and Scottie they play alike. And if you have 12, then you're gonna need 3 jump shooters around them because they're not potential like jump shooters that can really score. But Cooper Flag he attacks the rim a lot.
Yeah, man. I think at the end of the day, when you want to win basketball games, you have to compete on both ends. You have to have that rim. You have to have that rim presence. You have to have transition presence. You have to have good decision makers. I think I just trust Cooper Flag's basketball IQ. I trust his defensive versatility, and I trust his fit on this core. And if Jacoby can become the type of player that I think he's becoming right now, you really have something very special with this young core.
I agree.
Yeah.
But then what do you do with Jakob? Because it can't really protect the rim.
I did not want him in the first place.
Me neither. I remember the ninth.
I'm at this point where I'm like, he's a serviceable big, does not fit with what you're trying to do. To anyone who said, if tonight the Raptors come out and get the problem that I have is the basketball take should not change based on the result. It should change based on the process. So tonight, the Raptors got killed on the offensive glass, right? Jakob Poeltl is someone who might have helped in that situation, right? But the Raptors also shot a ton of threes, and they had a lot of space, which is like the opposite end of what Jakob doesn't provide. So it's like you're sort of forced to play Jakob 2-man game with whoever the hell is handling the basketball when he's on the court. So he sort of takes away from what you're able to do without him. The last 2 games without him, you've been fast. You notice that? Like you're beating teams on the court, you're getting open shots in transition. This is good. Like ideally in the future, this is how you want to play. I think Cooper fits very, very well at the power forward spot if you want to play that way.
Then do you move Scottie to the center?
Scottie to the center? No, fuck no. I'm moving to the point. Yeah, at this point, like I know I'm gonna believe that none of y'all are this dumb. But if you are, Scottie is a Draymond with a little more offensive potential. If you truly believe this, God help you. Darko Rajakovic said, "God help you." But what did he say? It was a quote when he said, if Scottie Barnes gets you downhill, God help you. Yo, if you actually believe this, God help you.
Even Draymond doesn't believe that.
I mean, for real, you got like every time this happens, I am sitting here wondering, what do these brilliant YouTube commenters know that Magic Johnson doesn't know? When he compared Scottie Barnes to himself, what do these brilliant people in the chat know? These beacons of bright basketball ideas, who inhale thinking basketball and Raptors Republic, what do these people know that I don't know? What do these people see that I'm not seeing? What do these people think that maybe Kyle Lowry himself does not see? Or Luka doesn't see? Or Giannis doesn't see? Or Jokic doesn't see? Or Darko doesn't see? Darko, who's been coaching this basketball. Well, Masai doesn't see. And these people act like Masai Ujiri is some fucking bum. You know, Masai Ujiri just traded away the whole core to build around an absolute idiot. He doesn't see Scottie Barnes working every day. What do these people see that Brian doesn't see? These people are so wrong. It's nuts. I've never seen a player this good treated this badly by a fan base in my life, especially their own fan base. Scottie's been slandered every fucking year, nonstop. Every year, there's a new narrative. In the first year, it was we shouldn't have picked him. We should have picked Suggs. In the second year, it's he's a bum. He doesn't work hard. In his third year, it was he doesn't impact winning enough. He's the reason why we traded away this core. And look at us, we're a losing team. And now the fourth year, it's what? He came back too soon from an injury, and now he's had 2 bad games. He's had 5 bad games all year. 4 bad games? 4 bad games all year, I think. He is effectively he's not had a good season by his standards, and he's by far your best player this season. James saying you want us to cry for him. No, I want to cry for you.
I don't think he's really had a bad season, right? Before I got hurt this time,
standards this year has been bad.
but the last 6 games before he got hurt, right? He was averaging like 27, 28 points or 26 points, 8.5 assists and about 8.5 rebounds and 7.8 rebounds. That is not bad for like seriously. And when he comes back, it takes like 1 or 2 games to get up to speed again. But I honestly, personally think he rushed back. Maybe he's trying to get that 65 games for All NBA or All Star. Because he came back the day that the All Star voting started. I think that I should have, if I'm the Raptors, I should have given him at least maybe 1 or 2 more weeks. Because sometimes you have to save players from themselves.
True. It's just a bad idea to do lives after every bad Scottie game, man.
I don't think it's a bad idea. It's good to talk it through, right? People are going to have dissenting opinions.
What is there to talk about? What is there?
There's nothing to talk about. Let's
NBA
focus.
Thinks he's an all-star. The Raptors think he's a franchise player. Masai Ujiri thinks he's worth building around. What is there to talk about?
Scottie had a bad game. He had a bad, not really. He had a bad scoring game. He had a bad scoring game. Let's focus on the positive of the other players. Jamashed had a good game. Jacoby had a good game. I think we got to think about it as a team, right? Not only about Scottie. I know you created this channel because of all the slander against Scottie, but at least we can talk about other things that the other young players did today.
Every good RJ game becomes a conversation about why he's better than Scottie.
Nobody talks about RJ struggles on the road every single time, right?
Of course he does.
Or RJ drives into the paint and makes some funny passes and turns over the ball and things like that. But
what I'm trying to say, FA, is that if every good Scottie game becomes a conversation about how his good games don't drive winning, and every bad Scottie game becomes a conversation about why he's a bum and a role player, and every good RJ game where Scottie doesn't play as well as RJ in that game, because there have been like 4 or 5 of those games as well where RJ scores like 36 points and Scottie has like 22 points, this is why this is RJ's team. I think this fan base would be happier if Scottie could get traded.
Somebody that knows basketball knows that the impact of Scottie, and even RJ said it several times over and over again that Scottie makes the game easier for him. RJ wants Scottie by his side around all the time. I see 2 of them building a bond like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, I don't think Scottie's a 4. To the people who think he's a 4, I don't think he's a 4 at all. Right? I think he is a 2-3 who can play 1. I think because he's large, people want to put him at the 4, but if he plays 4, you're undersized. And I think Scottie presents a chance to be oversized as a team, and you would be squandering that by playing him at the 4.
I think I'll play him 3. I'll do it. I'm not just going to play him, so I'll mix him up a lot, right? If he plays the 3 and the 4, he can punish players inside big time. He has an advantage, and I don't think we're taking advantage of the advantage, so to speak. He did that in his rookie year, right, when he was scoring inside, putting back, rebounding, and things like that. Because he was our best offensive rebounder, and he's still our best offensive rebounder. But I prefer him. He does things more in the middle than just merely jacking up shots outside.
Mm.
Because he has a, because even this year, right, another thing that he's added to his game, he added the mid range. To his game. So I want him to start using more of the mid range and maybe mix up the trees and the mid range, not just only the trees. And when he's inside the paint, right, like in the maybe 3 or 4, he's so tall, he sees the floor very well that he can kick it out for wide open trees. Like the game against Dallas, right? Even Kyrie said it that Scott is like a big point guard. He sees the floor very well, covering size and everything, and he has high IQ. I think that's something that we can take advantage of more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But regardless, everybody complain. Do they really want to win this season? Let's be honest. Do you want to
I
go into
I
the play?
personally don't want them
Yeah,
to win this
yeah. They
season
don't want
at
to go.
all.
They
But
want to go to the play now for what? Like this draft, is like top heavy, right? So why not go in and get one of those talent and add it to your young core?
mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think this team has a talent deficit, and they have a really interesting opportunity with this young core tied up, Jacoby, Gradey on really cheap, inexpensive deals
Yeah,
long term. And you have a chance to add something to that. And of course, if you are contending in a couple years, you'll still have that high lottery pick on a very reasonable deal. But yeah, it's good. Anyways, FA, any final thoughts, man?
no, keep up the good work, and I don't think don't worry yourself over what people are saying about Scottie. At the end of the day, the team is bigger than one player, so we got to look at the big picture. Scottie had a bad night, and I think he was hobbling. Even when he was going to back, I think one time during one of the play, I was on the phone with Paul. I was like, "Why are they even playing Scottie there? He's hobbling down the court." And after the game, the coach said it that he has his ankle and his hip. I think they're still bothering him. So I was surprised they even played him today. But regardless, I'm glad that Jacoby is really having a good season so far. And
I
it's
think it's pretty commendable that a lot of players don't, especially in today's NBA where everyone is obsessed with their own numbers, everyone's obsessed with their own stats, their own contract. It's very rare to find a player who's willing to play badly when they know they're playing hurt, and risk injury and generally just risk their numbers. I mean, we saw Fred hunt numbers and
mhm.
this fan base adored him, and I couldn't stand him. And now we're seeing the exact opposite, in Scottie. And Scottie,
I agree with you, and I think that's like in today's NBA, right? Not a lot of players are not going to play through injury or when they're hurt, right? And that's why you see the players of old complaining about this generation where that nobody wants to play the 2 games. But Scotty is different, right? But at this point in time, since we're not really playing for anything, I like to save him from himself, so to speak. Like
yeah,
I like to save him from himself. Let him. He only missed 2 games after that injury.
yeah,
When even ESPN was saying that this guy is going to be out for at least 3 weeks, and the next thing they were like, oh, okay, he's back. So let him heal properly because I know how ankle injuries can persist. He can just be lingering for because Scotty wants to play. You can even see him when he was on the bench after he got hurt. He really wants to come back.
yeah. And I think that, there's like a stability when it comes to players. Like you need a certain baseline of talent to just let everything function. You need a
Hmm.
facilitator, you need an outlet, you need a creator, you need a defender, right? Without Scotty, this team is awful.
I
At
agree.
at defense, they're terrible. They're offensively, they sometimes struggle for, hour, it seems like minutes at a time to create anything. So I thought, he's looking at RJ's ill, Jakob is out, Emmanuel quickly is out. Bruce Brown's out. Am I going to force my teammates to go out here a bunch of rookies and get stomped by 60? Or am I going to go out there and try to impact winning as much as I can, as much as my ankle will allow me to move around? And that's the antithesis. It's everything I respect in a basketball player is a player who's willing to play hurt, a player who's willing to take, those half court heaves, even though they hurt their percentages. Is why I like Kyle Lowry as much as I did. And it's why I can't stand Fred VanVleet, because Fred was the opposite. Fred was everything about numbers, padding, contract, etc. And Scottie's just not like that. Scottie, to anyone saying he's coming out there gunning for all NBA, bro, are you insane? Both games are very low usage games for him. He's not putting up good numbers right now. If anything, he's killing his all NBA, case. He's killing his all-star buzz right now. It's never been him. Last year, when all-star was on the line, his numbers cratered. It's only when contention was on the line. If you remember in the beginning of the year, he played so well last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was at 6.8, 7 box plus minus, which is like superstar level shit. And that was basically him just trying to keep the core together. He was trying to keep Fred and Pascal on this team. Sorry, not Fred and Pascal, OG and Pascal on this team.
Pascal, yeah.
And then they go on this 6-7 game losing skid, and then everyone gets traded, and he's just bummed. And it's just like at that point, he sees the writing on the wall. He tries his best. But when the season was out of hand, he just completely caved. Like, when winning was off the table, he just doesn't care. When winning is off the table, this guy does not fucking care.
Mm-hmm. See, the problem, like, my worry is that, look, same thing with Jakob that's injured. I don't want us to rush him back, right? Maybe because of one thing or another. Look at Tyrese Haliburton when he hurt his hamstring. He came back too early, and he played one game, then he was out again. And I don't think Tyrese Haliburton has been the same since that injury.
He has been very different, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty.
Anyway, take care. Have a good one.
Take care. Yeah, have a good one. Thanks.
Yeah, peace, man. Yeah, I mean, like, the trolls will always come out. This has always been a channel that has, majorly supported Scottie Barnes since his rookie season, through all the ups and downs and trials and tribulations. And I hate this fan base. I want to say this with a passion. I hate a lot of people in this fan base. I want to tell you why. Because tonight I want to be talking about Jacoby Walter and how awesome he looked. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the fact that this team, down numbers, came out and was awesome against a team that is much better than them. And instead, I got to talk about Scottie Barnes. And everybody on Twitter right now is talking about Scottie Barnes. I don't even have to check the fucking Raptors cookout and the space, the other videos, the comment sections. It's going to be you feeble, small-minded people that are going to make this entire game about something that it has nothing to do with. Scottie did not have a good game. Nobody should cap that he had a good game. Shooting 0 for 9, 0 for 10, 0 for 8, whatever the hell he shot from 3 is not good. It's not good. But you know what? On one hand, it's not good. On the other hand, glass half full, he attempted 10 threes. There was a game against the Boston Celtics last year. Yes, the Boston Celtics. And I believe it was an in-season tournament game where he went 7 for 15 from 3. And all people said in that game was, I don't want Scottie shooting 15 threes. I couldn't stand those people then, and I can't stand them now. Luis calling in. Luis, what's up, man?
Yo.
What's going on?
A couple questions for you.
Sure.
On a night like tomorrow, when there's a dozen games in the NBA, and you obviously being an analyst, not just for the Raptors, but obviously you're on the PC panel, and you have to know about the whole league. I'm just wondering how you keep up with all these games.
Well, thankfully, I'm not on the panel on Tuesday. I'm on tomorrow. So that's going to help me a lot. In terms of how I keep up, well, what I do is specifically I hone in on 6 to 7 games that are super interesting. And I watch as much of them as I humanly possibly can, usually by going through plays of specific players that I'm very interested in. There's an app that I have that allows you to basically watch segmented plays from specific games that, let's just say I want to watch all of Scottie's offensive possessions, defensive possessions, all of his assists. I can just quickly do that, and it's very simple. And so that way I can devote the time to the thing that I actually want to devote the time to, which is slowing the game down, right? So yeah, So if I want to focus on a particular shooting form, or if I want to focus on a particular synergy between two players or whatever, I can do that. So that's how I typically do it. It usually takes around 4 or 5 hours, but it's worth it. Yeah. Does that answer your question? We lost him. Okay. Flavius Film saying Jacoby looked like a natural shooter. We got a real one, chat. Yeah, Jacoby looked awesome. And look, I have been talking pretty much for 3.5 months straight. Go check out the video, the Jacoby Walter is a gem, etc. video about Jacoby being a better playmaker than people give him credit for, being a better scorer than people give him credit for, and most importantly, perhaps most importantly, he's a great defender. He has a chance to be a really special defender, right? So I think that Jacoby is a definitive part of the future. Definitively. I think there's no chance that the Raptors can see what they're seeing right now, see what I'm seeing right now, and think, yeah, we can replicate this somehow. I think you have a real lottery talent on your hands here. I think Gradey has shown to be a lottery talent. I think both those players have had some incredible high highs this year. I've mentioned this before, that the way to measure young players, specifically players under 24, 25 years old in their first few seasons, is typically to take a sample of games, their best games, and then try to amplify those best games. So maybe in Scottie's second year, you take 12, 15 games, and then you ask yourself, okay, next year, can he turn these 15 really good games into 30 really good games? That doesn't mean that he's not going to have 50 bad games. He's going to have 50 bad games. A lot of young players struggle with the consistency, right? It's the same thing with RJ. If I take RJ's 10 worst games this season, he looks like a G League bum. If I take his 10 best games this season, he looks like an all-star. It's really who you are on an average night that determines whether you're an all-star, a superstar, etc. So if you're going to play 80 games and you're going to play 60 of them like a superstar and 20 of them like a role player, you'll be an all-star, right? So that's kind of the gap. I think that's the gap. And alternatively, if you're going to play 20 of your games like an all-star and you're going to play 60 of your games like a superstar or a Hall of Famer, that's how you get MVP candidates, right? Shea is remarkably consistent. There's 29, 29. Oh, we got Luis back. Luis, what's up?
Yo,
get
so
cut off?
yeah, no, so I'm back now. I'm wondering, like, obviously you as an analyst, like, what stats do you value the most? Because I find, like, when I was growing up watching the game, it was very simple. It was points per game, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage. That was it. And now there's just so many different stats. And me, as someone who's been on and off with the game, like, I'm having trouble trying to understand the game now with so many advanced analytics. And even watching now, I feel like there's so much more to watch for. Like, back in the day, you could be even like an analyst and just be a casual almost. I feel like the game's changed a lot. I'm wondering what stats you value the most.
I value EPM a lot. Estimated plus minus by dunks and threes. It's a great stat. I like to occasionally look at value of a replacement as an aggregate sum total of stacking careers versus other careers. I do like to create my own sort of models as well that I use for my own internal calculus. If I ever do Patreon, I'll certainly list those out. But for now, they're just mine. I like to use tracking data. I like to use shot charts, specifically shot charts over year over year, to see how players are evolving in different spots on the court. I like to use NBA.com's. I believe they're linked up with Synergy now, or I don't know who's providing their stats, but they have great stats. So they can let you know like how open a player is, how often they shoot on a particular play, how often they succeed. I like to use everything per 100 possessions because, I'm growing up in countries that have a lot of metric system now that I'm not in the States anymore. And I like to keep things nice and simple with 100 possessions. It scales everything down. So I don't like to use points per game. I specifically like to use effective field goal percentage as opposed to just raw shooting percentage. I think that's a better measure because it properly weights out all the scoring elements and properly weights for threes and twos and free throws and all that stuff. So, true shooting percentage is fine. I find PER to be very flawed, specifically PER and occasionally win shares overvalue a certain type of player, which is bigs who rebound a lot and score very efficiently. I like to look at shot difficulty and defensively. I think there's a lot of defensive analytics and a lot of them are just noise, but I do like to look at matchup difficulty. I like to look at passer rating as it pertains to like overall efficiency with the basketball, right? So everything is there's a trade-off. So if you take a lot of shots, there's going to be a lot of points. So I need to understand how you're getting your shots, how contested your shots are, how much better your teammates are when you're shooting shots. How much does your team win when you take a lot of shots? You know, does you taking shots generally impact the game in a good way? So a lot of this does not come down to just looking at a single metric and then saying this player is 8, this player is 6, so this player is better. I think a lot of it comes down to actually watching the games and seeing how a player's presence on the court, offensively and defensively, is impacting space around them. So, to use the example of someone like a Steph Curry, right? No, actually, Steph Curry is a bad example. Nikola Jokic is a great example. So, Jokic and how he sinks space into the middle of the court, how he finds space because of his great passing, how much better shooters are with him on the court, the on-off splits with him, and then defensively, you know, how much does his offense create defensive ease for his team that almost never has to play in transition when he's on the court, right? How much does his communication help? So I think this is a very long, convoluted way of saying there's no one metric and you should trust your eye test a lot. But when you're unsure, you should definitely go to the stats and see if what you're seeing is matching out with the numbers. And then if it's not matching out with the numbers, then you should probably investigate why.
Right, yeah, and it makes sense to me. Like, obviously, eye test should still come first. So I'm wondering, like, yeah, like if you value advanced stats, like how would you compare like a Franz Wagner who's excellent advanced analytically
To who?
to a Scottie Barnes?
I've always liked Franz. I've always liked Franz, and I've always liked Scottie more. So I think with Franz, you know, I've only watched 5 games of him this year, so I can't talk too much about the eye test, but the analytics look brilliant. And when Paolo went out, they got even better. They got remarkably even better, right? He's a great defender, a really good defender, really smooth with the basketball, huge playmaker, and he's playing with a lot of defensive talent around him, right? They've added just a little bit of spacing around him. His brother Mo, who had just a tough injury, that was tough to watch. Both of them going out this season, but they provide just enough spacing. Wendell Carter, and you know the paint is open with the Magic, right? Whereas the context matters too. Where with Scottie, the paint is almost never open, right? So how would Franz do in Scottie's position, and how would Scottie do in Franz's position, where the defensive load wouldn't be as heavy with so many good defenders around you, like Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Isaac, guys like that, spacing bigs all around you, right? Like, I don't know. It's hard to project whether Scottie would be better in Orlando than Franz, or whether Franz would be worse in Toronto than Scottie. So I think you can never remove the analytics from the team and the context of the team. So where you are and what you do for that team and how optimized it is for your current skill set. I think Scottie has to grow into his role. And growth is tough. Taking 10 threes when you're not a good three-point shooter right now, that's really tough. But what did people say about Victor Wembanyama earlier this year when he was taking crazy number of threes and missing so many of them? They were saying he was a bum, you know? They were saying the Spurs are stupid. But there's a reason why he's taking those threes, and they're hard threes, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I suspect Scottie would be better than Franz in Orlando, and I suspect Franz is better right now in Orlando than Scottie is in Toronto. Like, he's doing more, but the team context matters. So yeah, in terms of like who they are as players, I think the advantage goes to Scottie just because I think the passing is just that much better. But Franz is no slouch when it comes to passing. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, no, the reason
who do you prefer?
Me personally, and like I haven't seen enough of Franz to say. I think if I'm just looking at the numbers, you have to go with Franz. But like you mentioned, like the Orlando team, the way it's structured, like It's a much better team than what the Raptors have right now. I don't think we have the personnel for Scottie to truly succeed. He's doing the best with what he can. That's for sure. So that in conjunction with this also being a developmental season, like I think if we really wanted Scottie to be putting up 25 points per game, we would not have him shooting 10 threes a night. We would have him attacking the paint. We'd run post ups. We'd do a lot more of that. Um, so I don't look at the 20 points per game he's putting up right now as an indicator of him uh, not progressing scoring wise compared to last year, because he was averaging 20 last year too. Um, so with mine, yeah, I'm in agreement with you that I think it's too tough to say until we actually get the right personnel with Scottie and are able to judge more fairly. So until we get to that Orlando stage, I don't think it's a fair comparison.
I think the context of development is always a strange road, right? Because like I remember when I was younger, I played with a visor. It was very uncomfortable, but it was meant to improve my ball handling, right? It was meant to improve my vision as a playmaker. But it was uncomfortable. It was obviously uncomfortable to wear a visor on your face. You know what I mean? Like you're just always adjusting it and you think it's falling off your face and stuff. I think basketball is just a game of comfort and rhythm. And so breaking comfort, breaking rhythm, like taking a player like an Emmanuel Quickly who's done one thing for 5 years and then forcing him to do something different. Like, hey, I know that you have an impulse, a natural impulse to go to this floater, but I need you to go all the way to the basket or you're getting benched. Like that's tough. That makes players look bad. And most players, they're not bought in enough to look bad on the basketball court. You know what I mean? Like an RJ Barrett is not ideally suited to playing point guard, but he's doing it in a pinch to help the team, right? He's doing it because the Raptors don't really have anybody else to do that when Scottie and IQ are out, because Davion Mitchell can't do it, and sufficiently you cannot keep starting Davion Mitchell if he's going to play as badly as he has. So RJ does something uncomfortable because he trusts that in the long run it's going to help him. Gradey Dick is another example, right? Tossing himself to the basket, even though he wasn't really capable of finishing around the basket, but now he's getting better at it, right? So it's like there are players who are playing in a box like Ochai Agbaji, where everything he does is stuff he's actually good at. But the minute Ochai Agbaji is told, hey, every time they close out to you on three, don't just keep taking the three, actually take one step in and do a pull up, his percentages are going to tank, right? His percentages will absolutely fundamentally tank. So you're right. When you say if the Raptors wanted Scottie Barnes to score 25 points per game, there's an easy formula for that. It's just do the things that you're good at more. But how does that help you get better? It just reinforces what you're already good at. This is what drives me crazy. And I want to just extend an olive branch to the chat right now, because I've pretty much called like a lot of people who are disagreeing with me right now like really dumb. And maybe people don't like to hear that, and maybe that's rude of me. Let me put it this way. Basketball development drives me crazy. Luis, did you play basketball growing up?
I played in high school, yeah.
Okay. Did you have any bigs on your team, like big dudes? Like how tall was your tallest player?
Oh man, we were a shorter team. The tallest must have been like 6'2".
Oh damn. Okay. So a lot of teams have like the 6'5", 6'6" player, right? I'm sure a lot of teams that you guys faced had a 6'5" or 6'6" player, or a 6'8" player, or maybe a 6'10" player. And ideally, when that kid was 6'5" and growing into that 6'5", 6'6" frame, somebody would have taught that kid how to shoot. Somebody would have taught that kid how to handle the basketball. Somebody would have taught that kid how to pass out of the short roll. But unfortunately, there were these short-sighted, ridiculously dumb AAU coaches or high school coaches who were just thinking about the state championship, or just thinking about getting the next win, or just thinking about their kid, this dumbass kid who's a fucking, 5'6" kid who's their son, who's running point, getting assists. And they told that big kid, get your ass in the block. Get your ass down in the block, guard the paint. We're going to play zone defense. You're going to suck up the middle of the zone, and we're going to win games this way. And that kid never learned how to guard on the perimeter. That kid never learned how to properly run a break. That kid never learned how to set an outlet pass or, play the pick and pop. He didn't learn anything that could actually help him advance to the next level. All he learned to be good at was what he was already good at. And because he wanted to be good, because it helped him to be good, you know, it helped him to be 22 points per game, 18 rebounds per game player. So all the honeys and all the girls liked him, and it helped them win. And winners are seen differently. Nobody ever thought, would it be better for this kid in 5 years if I actually teach this kid how to dribble and give him, you know, a couple of ball handling reps every game to help him out? Does it ever help this kid that if I can, you know, have him take 3-4 threes a game, that it would help him out, even if he airballs every one of them? I want him to get comfortable taking these. It would help that kid so much, but nobody had his back. Everybody was too busy wondering what they could get from that kid. That's how I feel about Scottie Barnes in year 1 and 2 with Nick Nurse. He's a versatile defender. He loves the screen and roll. He can dive to the basket. He can finish around the rim. He can be a secondary creator. But that's not the franchise player. The franchise player is what Jason Kidd did with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And everyone caps about Giannis now, and they talk about how great he is. Do people remember Giannis as a rookie, as a sophomore? Do people remember some of the tough moments that he had? How many plays? Do people remember Giannis versus the Raptors? That was 6 years into his career, 7 years into his career, 6 years. He was throwing balls out of bounds because he wasn't advanced enough as a playmaker to deal with the Raptors defense and the wall. Bucks fans never turned on Giannis. I don't remember that. I don't remember the Bucks fans turning on Giannis because he lost the playoff series. This fan base would turn on Scottie the second he has moments like Giannis and Jokic have had. It's a sad day, man. It's a sad day because, you know, it's hard enough to go out on these NBA streets on the panel and be talking about Scottie being a good player and having people, you know, downvote you every single time because they don't watch Raptor games. But it's very, very heartbreaking, actually, to see this great player playing on your team and to have the vast majority of the fan base have no idea what he's doing. And to have a really good development coach who's basically compromising his own win-loss record, because this is ego. No one got to this level without having a bit of an ego. Darko has an ego. He wants to win every game. But he knows long-term it's better for this organization to lose games. And it's very, very sad to watch the people who make all the sacrifices also have all the mud slung in their face. It's really sad, man.
Yeah, I mean it is. I think as long as the front office, though, like that's really, if that's their vision, then that's really what matters the most for Darko.
Yeah, I mean, look, the MO is from top down. You know, Darko, Bobby, Masai, they have their powwows, they have their meetings, right? So, what do you think is going on in those meetings right now?
I mean, the memo from the get-go has been rebuild, and Masai has never. I don't remember him using the word rebuild this loosely in the past. So clearly, like I think we were meant to go into the season like this. I think that they were open to the idea of winning games, but of course the injuries happened, and I think now we'll be pivoting, and we're going to see that more now, especially as we approach the deadline. But I mean, look, like at the end of the day, like I've ran the tankathon multiple times. Like there's times that we end up with the 7th, 8th, 5th. That's what scares me. I think the most out of all this is we could still end up with a 5 to 7, 5 to 8 pick, which drastically changes your core from a top 2 pick. So again, it's all like luck is such a big part of this.
Yeah, but if I had told you that the 19th overall pick, Jacoby Walter. Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's say today you watched the Houston Rockets, right? The Houston Rockets picked Reed Shepherd at number 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
You watched Reed Shepherd today?
Yes.
Did Jacoby look better than Reed Shepherd?
He did look better than Reed Shepherd, yes.
Okay. So if, just hypothetically, if the Rockets had drafted Reed Shepherd, if the Rockets had drafted Jacoby Walter and the Raptors had drafted Reed Shepherd, and tonight Reed Shepherd played how he played and Jacoby played how he played, would you be thinking to yourself, the Rockets made a mistake?
Yes, I would.
Because you think Reed is that much better?
No, I would think the Rockets have made a mistake because of the way Jacoby played. If we were just to base it off the one game.
No. I mean, like if the Rockets had Jacoby tonight and the Raptors had Reed. So let's just say these two flipped places. Let's say Reed had some terrible workouts and he slipped all the way to 19 for the Raptors. And the Reed you saw today with the Rockets was actually on the Raptors. And the Jacoby you saw today for the Raptors was actually on the Houston Rockets. And he came out and he scored 27 points on us and looked like an unstoppable 3-level scorer, scored the first 14 points of the game, was blowing us out by himself. I think a lot of us would say that looks like a top 3 pick out there. No? Who looked more like a top 3 pick between Jacoby and Reed today? I think Jacoby did.
Easily, yeah.
So that's the point. Who cares if he was 19th pick? That's just a determination at the moment. So if I tell you that the Raptors picked the 3rd best player at number 9, isn't that better than picking the 5th best player at number 4? It's obviously I want to draft high too. Don't get me wrong. I hear you. Let's run the tankathon right now just for good luck. 5th. 1st. It used to take a lot longer to get to number 1. The last time I ran it once and I got to number 1. This time I ran it twice. I got to number 1. All right. It's getting a little bit better. Try it one more time. 6. Oh, boy. 7. Oh, I should have stopped while I was behind. 5.
I'm telling you, man.
5.
Flip at 5 often.
2. 5. 1. Okay. We're leaving it at 1. I don't want to tempt fate at this point. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The way I see it is the Raptors have a great development staff. They have great organization. They have a great culture. They have a great scout. They have great scouts across the board. They have a great leader. They have a player in Scottie Barnes who I think embodies team first everything. When Jacoby started going off, he didn't get in the way of it ever, which I really appreciate. It's sad to me that a lot of fans don't appreciate that he didn't do that whole thing of like, I'm the star. I got to get my touches. Cool off, young kid. He's probably really happy for Jacoby. In fact, I know for a fact that he's happy for Jacoby. I'll bet money that he's going to share Jacoby scored 27 points on his Instagram story in a few hours, because that's just who Scottie is as a team leader. I think there's all these intangible qualities that he has, and I think you're right. Like when you see the context of who he is, and when the Raptors are actually trying to win games, I think people will see a version of Scottie Barnes that reminds them a lot more of Kawhi Leonard than Draymond Green. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. All right, brother. I gotta head off. But
Peace,
love your work, man. Take care.
Take care, man. Have a good one. All right. Look, to those of you who believe that Scottie is not a franchise player, cool. I mean, we don't have to agree on that. That's perfectly fine. I genuinely have hated the way he's been covered by this media space. I hate the way he's talked about by fans. There's about 3 months in his entire Raptors career that I can genuinely say the entire fan base seemed very united on him. For the most part, it just seems like a lot of people, box score casuals, people who don't really understand basketball very well, are always trying to diminish all the things that he does by only talking about things that he doesn't do well. Well, Giannis doesn't shoot free throws well. Nikola Jokic doesn't play defense well. There's a lot of holes in star players, Steve Nash did not defend well. Magic Johnson was not a great defender. Michael Jordan wasn't the greatest outside shooter. Imagine sitting there and saying Michael Jordan is terrible because he doesn't shoot threes like Reggie Miller. It's a very stupid way to think. Kawhi Leonard was not a great passer. I hate to break it to y'all who think Kawhi Leonard is a perfect basketball player. Kawhi's a great basketball player. Didn't play great defense for the Raptors. He was passable, but nowhere near his San Antonio levels. People remember Kawhi Leonard with the Raptors as being the greatest version of Kawhi Leonard, when in fact, it was his playoff run that was the greatest ever. His regular season was one of his worst in his prime with the Raptors. Luka can't play D. Luka's a bit of a ball hog, And I think people just have a really difficult time understanding how a player like Scottie Barnes is supposed to be a star. But those same people had a lot of difficulty seeing Nikola Jokic as a star, or Giannis as a star, or Kawhi as a star, for that matter. Every player I just mentioned, if you had told people in their third, or Shea as a star, the truth is, when someone says you're a star, if right now I start peddling the horn that Jacoby Walter is the 5th best or 6th best shooting guard in the league, you'll start dissecting the shit out of his game. You'll look at the analytics. You'll look at the 3-point shooting percentage. You're like, this doesn't match out. So to some extent, I said it on the panel last week, heavy is the head that wears the crown. If you are going to be anointed the franchise player, there's going to be certain pressures that come with that. And luckily, Scottie is not soft. Scottie is built for these moments. What's sad, though, is that I genuinely feel for the fans who do not appreciate his game because it feels like you're missing something that the rest of us get to enjoy. And that kind of sucks. And you're missing it almost entirely because you don't watch the game with a careful enough eye, or because you're only watching for a specific thing, which is makes and misses or offensive assertiveness or a big box score number. You know, it's sad. So Giannis is not perfect. LeBron is not perfect basketball either. Although I'll agree with you. He's gotten about as close as any player, in NBA history. About as close. Jordan still clears, but LeBron's cool, But LeBron had so many haters early on in his career. Not really the chosen one. Not really great. Hyped up high school kid. Do y'all remember what people said about LeBron James when he was a rookie? Before he got to the league? Have y'all seen this? Hang on, let me find it for you. I think this just needs to be laid out because the bar keeps moving for Scottie Barnes. First it was he's never going to be like, if I had told you in his rookie season that he would average 28 and 7 at any point in his career, you would have said we cooked with the 4th overall pick. But then he became an all-star and suddenly the bar is 25 points per game on a 50-win team. And if he's not doing that, what are you complaining about? There are certain people in this life that just need to complain all the time. Like, I'll guarantee you right now, if Scottie is leading a 50-win team and he's averaging 25 points per game, people are going to hone in on the missed buzzer beater, right? This is an obsessive. I think it's toxic personally, but I'm going to play this for y'all because I think this allows you to understand that even trained professionals can be absolute morons. Hang on one second. Pull this up for y'all. What the hell? What? Come on, man. Okay. Let me just pull it up here on this. Enjoy.
Well, the Cavs took advantage of a Raptors team that dressed just 7 players. Cavs win, coupled with Denver's loss, left both teams tied with the worst record in the NBA. The result, now the majority of the ping pong balls will be split between both teams. Take a look at the breakdown for next month's drawing. 22.5% go to the Cavs and the Nuggets, and it's the Raptors, the Heat, and the Clippers. So with the number 1 pick, does that mean you automatically take LeBron James and automatically you start to get wins? Here's Channel 23's Chuck Galetti on that.
This season is over. The final, Cleveland 96, Raptors 86. The Raptors.
And, we went out and we won a game. Tied Denver, so what? Be it. I don't care.
The Cavs might not care, but I'm sure the Nuggets are smiling today as both teams now have a chance for gold in the NBA draft. And that gold, LeBron James. But is the 18-year-old from Akron truly the savior?
We have better players than him in his position already on our team, though. His potential is probably sky's the limit for him, though. LeBron is just going to add to what we need and, just make things a little bit easier.
And he would come in and make an immediate impact like a Caron Butler, did for the Miami Heat. I don't think you can really just bring a high school player in and really just think your team gonna really turn around like that. If he come, he can just hop on our bandwagon and hopefully we can do something big.
And don't forget, there is one good.
I think it's worth noting that LeBron did not hop on their bandwagon. LeBron hopped on the wagon, looked around at the bums around him, and decided he wanted a different team. It's not obvious until it's obvious with stars It's not always obvious. You want to act like everyone knew this player was great or that player was great. There are certain players that just come on, they have all the media limelight. Vince Carter is a great example. Vince Carter was more maligned throughout his career than he was celebrated, which is sad because Vince was a hell of a player and he deserved better than that. Grant Hill was more maligned throughout his career than he was celebrated, which is also a tragedy because he was a hell of a player and he battled back numerous times through injuries. You know, when I talk to athletes, when I talk to professional athletes, when I talk to trainers, when I talk to scouts, when I talk to the people who are in the business, one thing that always sticks out is how little appreciation the average person has for how hard it is to be a professional athlete. You know, battling through an ankle injury requires rehab. It requires rest. It requires rest. Therefore, it requires some rust. You know, you're going to be a little bit rusty. And in order to get through rust, you got to shoot. You got to shoot. You got to play. You got to play basketball games. Sometimes you got to get live contact. And you might argue that Scottie came back too soon. You want to know how to get banned real quick? A comment like this is how you get banned for life. Peace. It's almost like these people have a Scottie Google alerts where bad Scottie game equals immediate come to Pantera basketball and talk shit. Look, man, I'm going to say to you what I said in year 2. Did I switch up on Scottie in year 2? No. Did I switch up on Jacoby early on this year? Hell no. Did I switch up on Gradey last year? No. But some of y'all really want to revisit your takes on Gradey Dick. Oh, Rob, we shouldn't have picked him 13th. He was terrible. He's in the G League. He's getting cooked. What I say, be patient. Growth is very difficult for people to understand because most people are terrible at it. Most people don't grow. Most people don't grow because most people are afraid to be bad at things. I just had this conversation with my girlfriend this morning. Literally just this morning. We have a constant battle. I'm just sharing this. Hope she doesn't mind. We have this constant battle about cooking. I'm a good cook. I'm not a chef. I'm not a professional chef, but I'm very good at cooking. And I don't think she's very good at cooking. So I have an issue with how she cooks. It's not because I'm some chauvinist pig who needs my girlfriend to make me meals, but she genuinely wants to be good at cooking, and she's doing these things that I know clearly are not good for her. And so at some point, the ego must break and you must receive feedback. Scottie Barnes, as he was at Florida State, was not a perfect basketball player. He had a lot of holes. And had he continued to double down on the things he was already good at, he would have become a perfected version of an imperfect player. So in order to break that structure, you must earn the trust of the player, right? What y'all do when Scottie takes 10 threes, and instead of celebrating, you say, get your ass in the post, what you're doing is the exact opposite of what I think a fan should be doing. Because a fan should be rooting, in my opinion, for long-term success of the team. But what happens when y'all do this is Scottie gets trolled mercilessly. He gets mentioned. Do you realize how cruel the internet has been to this dude? This guy can't laugh or run or say a word without half the fucking lunatics on this internet saying that he has tism, okay? Something that bothers me more than anything as someone who is on the spectrum. It bothers me a lot that this is being used in some sort of derogatory way. But what bothers me the most about this is that he doesn't even have that support from his own fan base, which is the type of thing that, you know, at least to me, would make me sour on a fan base. I'm not telling you that Scottie Barnes is a perfect basketball player any more than I'm telling you that Wemby is a perfect basketball player right now, any more than I'm telling you Anthony Edwards is a perfect basketball player. These players are all players who have a ton to grow. And if you don't believe that Scottie can get to the same level as those guys, sure. But those are first overall picks for a reason. I believe Scottie can get damn close, if not past those guys. And I will be very, very happy to admit I was wrong in 6 or 7 years, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, if I am wrong. But I don't think I am wrong about Scottie. I don't think I'm wrong about Scottie at all. I think he's going to be a franchise-changing player. I think he's going to be, you know, a guy who leads to winning. Whether he's ever going to be a 30-point per game scorer, or 28-point per game scorer like Kawhi became, or whether he kind of tops out at 25 with all the other impact stuff, doesn't matter. The point I'm always curious about is, can you be the best player the leader, the leader of the offense, regardless of how you lead the offense. Jason Kidd led his team to the finals. I don't think he cracked 22 points. So it doesn't matter how you do it, but in the end, do you generate enough offense through your presence on the court, whether you generate it like Magic and Jason Kidd, or whether you generate it like Paul George and Giannis and Kawhi? It doesn't really matter to me. The point is, are you able to be the best? Are you able to be the lead guy on the best team? And if you are, I support that, right? So that I agree with. So, unfortunately, nights like this for Scottie are not pleasant to watch because they sort of augment or highlight all the holes in his game, and he does have considerable holes. The handle is not quite there. It's getting there. It's gotten better though. The shot is not quite there, but the volume is there. So you're solving one part of the equation. You know how bad Ochai Agbaji looked last year, but he was taking shots. He was playing a lot of minutes. And this summer, they got into the lab, they tweaked it, and boom, it just clicks. The other thing I would say with development is it can come all at once very suddenly, right? It doesn't always, but sometimes when it comes, when the floodgates open, it's like some shit you've never seen. Sometimes when it just, with the player, it clicks. Nobody thought Tracy McGrady was a superstar here. Nobody. I tell you, I honestly believe it. I remember the time very clearly when people said, let's hope he doesn't become an all-star someday. There was that talk about Tracy McGrady. His jump shot was raw. I remember those games. Tracy McGrady would come down, pull-up jumper, couldn't make an open pull-up jumper to save his life. His jump shot's broken. He's not a good shooter. He's not this. He's too scrawny. La, 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 la. He was 21 years old, man. And then he goes to Orlando, and he's like immediately a superstar overnight. How did that happen? Because when you're young, the progression can come like a flood. Are the post-game interviews up? I don't know if they are up, but I can check really quickly. Check. Emmanuel Quickly from a few days ago. The Raptors YouTube channel has sort of stopped posting them. I'm not really sure why they stopped posting them, but they haven't really been posting them lately. So that's the unfortunate thing. But I'm looking and I'm not seeing it. No, I don't at all. At all. I think wherever the Raptors draft in this year's draft, they will be perfectly fine. Of course, it would suck, to do all that losing and then to end up with the 7th pick. But Bilal Coulibaly was the 7th pick. There's so many good players who have been picked at the 7th pick, right? Kobe was the 13th pick. Giannis was the 15th pick. Kawhi was the 15th pick. The only thing that you get with the first overall pick, Zion Williamson, Ben. I mean, shit. If I constructed a team of only number 1 picks over the last 20 years and only 8 to 13 for the last 20 years, I'll guarantee you 8 to 13 is probably a better team. Over the last 20 years? Yeah, 8 to 13 is solid, man. You get the 2 best shooting guards in the league, or 2 of the 3 best shooting guards in the league, and Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell. You get plenty of solid. You get Klay Thompson. Is Cooper still the consensus? I mean, I don't know, but the consensus, he's the 100%. For me, he'd be the number 1 pick 10 times out of 10. Anyways, guys, this has been an exhausting episode. I want to thank everyone who tuned into it. I also want to thank OT87 for your multiple super chats here. Call me crazy, Jacobia Mini Booker. I wouldn't call you crazy for that. And he's not really mini because he's the same size as Devin Booker, except he's actually longer than Devin Booker. Pause. He has longer arms than Devin Booker. So that's certainly an apt comparison. Watch Scottie drop 40 the next game. That would be cool, but as long as it results in a loss, right? There will be people saying, well, Scottie can only score 40 points when we lose, et cetera, et cetera. You know, there was this time when Scottie would just, he would let other people do whatever they wanted for like 3 quarters, and then he would dial it up in the 4th quarter almost every night. And all people could say was, why can't he do this for 4 quarters? You know what I mean? There's always something to nitpick, but in the end, it's like, are you missing it? Are you missing the beauty of it? Are you missing the fact that you have a player on your team that can put up 19 points against the Bucks? Are you missing the fact that you have a player on your team who can shut down Steph Curry and Nikola Jokic in the same season? What he does is incredible. And, you know, when he has a night like tonight, which is for most people just a really average night, it feels like you were cheated of something, you know? It feels like, how dare this super talented player only score this many points, 6 points? This is embarrassing. Like, how can you score 6 points? Or maybe it's because you took Scottie Barnes over 20 on your fucking parlay and he sold your parlay and now you hate him. And because you can't talk to him, you're going to choose to hate me because I'm sitting here telling you to be patient. I think sports betting is ruining the NBA. This is why we will never, ever support it. If you are a sports bettor, if you're someone who took the Scottie over 20, 21, 22, whatever the fuck his over-under was, I feel like Vegas probably thought Scottie was going to have a lot of points tonight because RJ was out, Jakob was out, and the way Vegas thinks is when more scorers are out, better scorers score more. And that's not who Scottie is. So, you know, Scottie's been destroying people's parlays for the last 4 years, you know, and frankly, I love it. All right. Jacoby and Dick developing into stars opens a competitive window, even if we don't land into the top 3 pick. I don't know if they'll both develop into stars. What I do feel confident about is that they're both starters in the NBA long term. And that's a really huge value add. If you found solid starters at minimum with the 13th and 19th picks in back-to-back drafts, you're cooking with gas, right? BX saying Scottie's good, but he's not that guy. Raptors need to find that leader. I think Scottie's a great leader. It's a great leader. You're deflecting. I'm not deflecting, actually. I don't think you understand how pervasive and how prevalent sports betting is and how much it dictates how people watch the game. You know, the most frustrating experience of possibly the last year was being on playback and watching parlay watchers rooting for turnover because they took LeBron James 4 turnovers or something like that. And just listening to those people, these degenerate people just being like, oh, LeBron, one more turnover. It's sick. It's sick. It's honestly sick. Okay. So having watched people go through this, it is a sickness. You should get help for it, but it absolutely swings the way that you watch the game because RJ generally is going to get your over on points, right? If you took RJ over 21 tonight, he was going to get 21 points in his sleep, right? You think that. But Scottie underperforming your over under this badly, it makes you mad. That's okay. Yeah. All right, man. Peace. Take care, guys. And yeah, I'm going to ask. I respect everyone's religion, but do not advocate for your religion over another religion because, like, this gets real messy, real fucked up, real fast. You know, because if I start telling, if like you can say God, but please respect the fact that this is not a left or right space, and this is not a Christian only or Islam only or, you know, Hindu only. Like I don't. Generally speaking, as a community, I would like us to keep a specific denomination or a specific religion out of the equation. If you want to say trust God, that's cool. That's an inclusive message. Okay. But saying Christianity is the answer is a very incendiary and sometimes very controversial statement for certain people. And I'm going to respect people's ability to be able to be in a basketball chat without having people shoving religion down their throat. That would be appreciated. Cool. All right. Peace, guys. Have a good one.